and that's stored up in our conscience, all the bad memories, all the things, how do we know? Because this is where people destroy their own success. They'll start to get success, and then all of a sudden, bam, something happens. And why? Because they did it to themselves. So how do we know whether it's God leading us or something, or our own voice? Motive. What is easy on your flesh is not leading. What would be the fear? Okay, let's say recently I talked to Teresa about buying a car. Right? And I found a car at a really good price. And I mean, it's well below what this car is selling for. Anywhere I've looked. I mean, like thousands below what it's selling for, And they, like, it's selling for around 6.5, and the best I could find is like 12 for the same make, year, and model. And do you know what came up when she told me, let's wait? And she has good wisdom on waiting because, number one, we need to come in agreement on it, because agreement is the place of safety. And I believe that if God speaks to her heart, like, I might have the idea, but she might be the timing. Mm-hmm. And that's the way God will balance husband and wives. But when the husband says, well, bless God, I'm the husband, and I'm going to do, bless God, whatever I want to. Well, guess what? Go ahead. And you'll be crying later on because you were out of agreement. And agreement is the place of power. So I wasn't real overjoyed with her answer. But see, this is where submission comes in. And submission is not agreement always. Submission is that I know you love me. I know she loves me. And because she loves me, I know that she's got my best interests at heart. And maybe she sees something that I don't. And because of my ADD, I'm a little impulsive. Just a little. Because I see something and it's like, I want it. And the thought was that if I don't get it now, it might not be there later.
Ooh. Fear of loss.
Oh, fear of loss. But wait a minute, don't we serve a good God? Don't we serve a God of all provision? Don't we see a God who sees ahead and provides for us? That even if I was supposed to buy that car and she didn't agree with it, but because of that, I'll have another opportunity, that God will bring me another blessing and another blessing because His hand is not short.
Right.
Listen to this. Roger told me this story last night, so I'm going to read it to you. A man found a boulder in front of his house. And like Roger says, he says that the message comes from the Holy Ghost, and so it's not copyrighted. So you are free to use whatever you want. That brings me to my soapbox, is that people that sue over their sayings and over their words, and it's all money. What does it matter? One of the things that really blesses me about Roger, and he said it last night, and it was like warm honey, like he talked about warm honey just went all over me, as he said, it doesn't matter how the message gets out, it's just so the message gets out.
The seeds get through.
Bottom line, it doesn't matter who gets credit for it. Let's just get the message out. Let's bless people. Let's bless their lives. Okay. Man found a boulder in the front of his house, and the Lord told him, I want you to go out, and I want you to push against that with all your strength. And he couldn't imagine why. So he went out every day. And he pushed and pushed with all his might, with all his strength, with everything that was on the inside of him. And after several months, numerous months, the man was discouraged, and he went to the Lord and he said, Lord, I did what you said. I pushed and pushed against this rock with everything I had, and yet it did not move. But most of all, you didn't move it. Why? The Lord told him to examine his body. This boy was ripped. Then the Lord told him, he said, you see your body? I was preparing and strengthening you for the work ahead. Take this principle from this. Your obedience does not always equal your outcome. God may ask you to do something. I'll say this. We went to this church. You know what church I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention the name. I'm not going to call any names. But we went to this church that was having problems. And I really felt like God told me to go there and minister until we could no longer minister there. Well, you know, it came to the place where they said, you know, we're not going to have you come for a while. We may never go back. And I was meditating on this, and the Lord said, he said, did you do what I asked you to do? Yeah. Did you do it with all your might? Oh yeah. Did you do it with all your strength? Did you do it with the right heart? I did. He said, that's all I asked you to do. I didn't tell you what the outcome would be. I just told you to do it.
That's true.
And I won't share everything that's going on, but there's change going on in that church now.
But you, because of
And it's because I was there and Roger came with a message that was in time. And if I hadn't gone, Roger never would have come.
Yep. You are a
Now,
messenger.
is it, you know, am I saying that, you know, well, I'm the anointed man of God? No, I'm just simply
Serving.
serving.
Yep.
Because I love people. Bottom line. Will that situation change? I don't know. And I don't care. And I'm saying I'm not going to carry the care on it because that's up to God. That's not up to me to see that change comes to them.
Right.
But I did what I felt like in my heart that I needed to do. And I did it with all my heart. Just like this guy who moved the boulder. Or pushed against the boulder and it didn't move. Thank you. Keep me straight now. You know, the only time, you know, the devil will promote you. He'll throw you in a position that God knows the conditions are not ready for you, but he'll push you ahead. Because the only time the devil comes is to steal and to kill and to utterly destroy what God is trying to do in your life. You know, one of the things that the Lord has told me recently, and my wife agrees, is that to sit for 6 months, right? And that just flesh. I don't like it. I want to preach. But you know what? God has my best interest at heart. My partner agrees. So we're in agreement. We're in agreement with God. We're going to do it. We're going to wait 6 months. Why? What's going to happen? Oh, God's going to bless you at the end of 6 months. No. The obedience does not always equal your outcome, your perceived outcome. I don't want to wait, which is a good indication I need to wait. Because through faith and patience, you receive the promise. Through rushing and haste, you wind up in a mess. That's how I know it's God. That's how I know it's not just my heart saying, well, no, you'll never, the voices of the past, you'll never amount to anything. You'll never, no, I already played that record and I broke it a long time ago. That has no power in my life anymore. And even if I'm wrong, God will send laborers across my path and opportunities, and he'll minister to me. And if he can't get it to my heart, he'll get it to my ears through someone. And someone will say, hey, you know what? God told me that you're supposed to be doing, and it'll be confirmation after confirmation after confirmation. If someone comes to you, it's because you yourself are not listening. What is that? That's humility. Anytime Jesus speaks to you in your heart, it's to promote blessing. It's to promote you. Promotion comes from the Lord. But the devil promotes too. He'll promote people in ministry positions that aren't ready for ministry positions. They know they're not ready for ministry positions. And do you know what happens? They fall. You know why? Because the fruit always comes. You ever see an orange tree? You ever see the magnificent oranges that it produces? How heavy they are? Have you ever picked oranges? And if the branch is not strong enough, the branch will break when the fruit comes. And ministry is like that. And our lives are like that. That if we don't develop the character, if we, through faith and patience and trusting God and knowing that God loves us and he will provide every opportunity for us, if we do not take that time to develop our character, the fruit will always come. The fruit will always come, but the branch will break and ruin the fruit and spoil your harvest. I don't want my harvest spoiled. I'd rather, if God told me today to go back to school, now I'm not talking about the Presbyterian Church, but I'm saying another 4 years, I would do it. Because I know that he has my best interests at heart. My wife's all bug-eyed now because she knows what I went through with my doctorate program. Humility is the path to promotion. Humility will open doors that nothing else can open. I'll close with this. Well, then I want to hear from you guys, okay? Is that, how much does an iPhone 11 cost? They have 11 now.
It's like $1,000 or something.
$1,000.
Yeah, around
That's about
$1,000.
what it costs to buy 8 Plus.
What if this was an iPhone 11? It's not. It's only a 6. But I'm happy with it.
Me too.
It's what the Lord blessed me with.
Yep.
And I'm happy with it. That's what I can receive. I'm happy with it. As long as it works. When it quits working, God will bless me with something else.
Yep.
But let's say this is an iPhone 11 and I take it and I give it to someone and they take it and they use it for a door jamb. $1,000 door stop. Let me ask you something. Does that change the fact that this is an iPhone 11? Does that change the fact that it has all these wonderful features? Oh, it's off. Sorry. Duh. Does it change the fact that this has all these wonderful features, text message, photos, all this stuff, video, we can do all the, we can conference, we can do all these things. Does it change the fact that this is still an iPhone 11? It doesn't, does it? It doesn't change the value of this. This still costs $1,000 and it's a $1,000 doorstop. Now let me ask you something. Let's say your boss comes to you tomorrow and says, hey, I want you to sweep and mop the floor. Well, that's not my job description. Does that change your value? See, the only reason someone used this as a doorstop is because they were ignorant about the features that it provided, that what they could use it for, so they just saw it as a doorstop because they needed something to open the door with. But it didn't change the fact that it still had the features and it still has the value. And if your boss comes to you and says, hey, I want you to sweep and mop the floor, would you do it? Isn't that humility? Aren't we supposed to serve in simplicity and humility? But how many of us would say, you know what? Look, I got 2 doctorate degrees and I am not gonna sweep and mop the floor. Maybe that's why you need to sweep and mop the floor. Maybe you're in pride and you really think you're in humility. God always leads you in perfect peace. One last thing I want to say is that people make decisions under great pressure. They hear from God and then they take that and they mix it and they kind of, reason it out and say, oh yeah, this is God. People make decisions under pressure. And the chances of you making the wrong decision under pressure are great. Because he said he will guide you in perfect peace, whose mind is kept on him. I could have made that decision and said, you know what, I'm gonna throw my car out there and get it sold, and I'm gonna go buy this car, right? Regardless of what my wife says, I don't care. And I'll be out there alone. But what's interesting is that when you make a decision harshly, when you make it not in peace, when you make a quick decision, when you make it under pressure, if it doesn't affect that decision, you have just set yourself up for the next critical decision, and it may just be the most important decision that you have to make, and you'll miss it. Domino effect. So tell me, have we ever judged ourselves or judged God in light of what we thought we were able to receive rather than what He's already provided? I have. Many times.
I think we all have, yeah.
Give me an example, if you don't mind sharing.
I don't know. I can't think of anything specific off the top of my head.
Well, evil of all, money. You always like, why didn't that come through? Or why couldn't I, God, why didn't you do that? Or, I've done it in the past, and then down the road when, something hits me across the head, it's like, take a breather. God, you're in control. Mm-hmm. You will have this happen if it's meant to be, whether it may be, or and in one of the circumstances, I was stressing. I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave it off. And what happens is that we get a check in the mail. He got a bonus, a employee level bonus, or employee of the year or something. And I just stopped in my spot and I just go, God, you're good.